There we go, folks. Full time at the Allianz Stadium. Twickenham, England win 47-24 against the Italians. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As usual, we will get going and get into this game at around about the 4-minute mark. So go and get yourself a cup of tea or a beer or whatever you want. And we will go through this game. Jamie George on screen at the moment. His 100th cap. It looked at one moment that he might nip over for a try as well on his 100th, but it's turned provider instead. Let's get your comments in. Give this video a like as well if you don't mind. It helps other people find it, and we can get going at about the 4-minute mark and go through this game in great detail. England now up to second place in the Six Nations title championship table on 15 points, one behind France, with one round of fixtures still to go, all to play for. But France, let's be honest, heavy favourites, assuming they can get a win against Scotland next week, which, again, they'll be pretty strong favourites to achieve, I think. Let's have your comments. Who was your player of the match? Who did you think played well? I've got some earmarked that I thought went well today for both teams. Thought there's some good performances from both sides. Jamie George being the main focus at the moment of the TV cameras, rightly so. Top man and a top player. Great to see him get 100 caps. Let's have your thoughts as well, generally on the game. What do you think? Do you think England went out to attack a lot more today? How successful were they at it? What could they have done better? And what about the Italians? Again, stranded on 3 tries. No, they got the 4th, didn't they? Did they get the 4th? Yeah, they got the 4th. They got the bonus point. Excuse me. Delighted for them to get that. Going through the tunnel now. As usual, guys, we'll get going at about the 4-minute mark on this live stream, get into the game and go through everything in a bit of detail, although my Wi-Fi was a bit dodgy today, so I didn't missing bits of the first half, typically when tries were scored, which is annoying. Once again, I think the Italians can be very proud of what they did today. Lots of good points. Competed really hard. Of course, they'd like to be a little bit more accurate at times, but you can't fault the commitment. You can't fault the spirit in their side, that's for sure. Ollie Chessum was the official player of the match. Hard to argue with that, really, wasn't it? He was everywhere. Dominated in the line out. Made a ton of carries today as well, Chess, I think. A lot of carries. Oh, it says there, carries 8. Some big ones as well. There was one in particular off the back of a line out, which he went careering up the pitch. Good to see him back firing in an England jersey. He is, I think, long-term a potential world-class lock forward. He's not world-class yet, but he's a very, very good international. If he keeps progressing at this rate, he will probably get to world-class status, I think. So, yeah, England winning 47-24 on a lovely day at Twickenham. Okay, let's get into this one. Let's go through it in all the detail, as we always do. Let's have your questions, though, guys. If you've got any questions, any things you want me to talk about specifically, get them in the comments, and we will read some of those out as well. Let me just rearrange my screen quickly. There we go. It was good to see, just from the start here, there was an intent to play from England today. I said in the preview, that was really my single thing that I was looking for, an intent to attack at all times, right? And that doesn't mean they have to throw the ball around. It means they have to be looking for opportunities. And we definitely saw that from England today, no matter where it was on the pitch as well. We saw them attempt to move the ball when they were in their own 22, sometimes very sort of ad hoc situations. There was one in the second half I'm thinking of when Ben Curry went up the right-hand touchline and put in a beautiful little grubber kick, things like that, where they're just looking to exploit space. I thought England were looking to do that all day. So for me, big thumbs up in regards to that. Let's get a comment on screen right away, shall we? Before we even get into it. The sore community. Very disappointed with Italy's second half performance. They looked ship-shape for a little while, and then they just fell apart. Yeah, England really dominated the third quarter. There's no question about that. The game was done after that third quarter, similar to Ireland-France yesterday, actually, in that respect. Okay, England started quite brightly, moved the ball, lots of accurate passing, but they got turnover on their very first attempt at doing that. And we've seen recently a lot that if England get turned over on their first play, they can often go into their shells. But I was delighted that that didn't happen today. They looked a bit disjointed at times. They looked a bit inaccurate at times, but they never went into their shells. So I was delighted about that. And England got the first try after 4 minutes, and it was Tom Willis who got one of those beautiful balls to run onto, just piling through a small gap in the Italian defence and powering through. I think it was Lamoureux to dot down. But there was a nice symmetry to this because it was Willis who actually got the turnover for England back on England's 22. And again, this is an example of where they went for it. They saw that there was space. They saw the Italians were disorganised. They went for it. And a few phases later, Willis, it was again who charged over for 7-0. Finn Smith with the kicking tee, and he kicked fantastically well today. We'll go on to discuss that. But a lot of the kicks that Finn Smith kicked were from wide out on the touchline. The Italians, though, had moments during these opening periods, but there was just some unbelievable defence from them as well. In particular, there was a tackle from Menoncello when it looked like Freeman was likely to score. Menoncello got up and got the turnover as well directly from that. He was unbelievable for the Italians today. I'm a big fan of Menoncello, and I just thought his physicality, his running lines, his work at the breakdown, everything, just his total game was at a different level today. I thought he was outstanding. Ollie Lawrence, sadly, shortly after that, got shot by a sniper. That looked like a bad one to me. That looks like an Achilles pop. So he went off to be replaced by Marcus Smith, with Elliot Daly moving to the centre. So, I mean, obviously England would have planned for this, but to have that disruption so early, and I think it just unbalanced England a little bit. Daly's not the same player as Lawrence. So it probably changed a lot of what their plans were going to be. And I think we saw that a bit when they got into phase play. They didn't quite have the runners that were going to hit the short lines like Lawrence would have done often enough. And England were a little bit side to side at times. 14 minutes, Capowazzo gets the try, and this was beautifully created by the Italians with the chip over the top first from Garbisi and then another one from Ioane. And it looked like a set play to me. I mean, I could be wrong. They could have just been playing this off the cuff. But the way Capowazzo kept his depth as the ball went across in front of him to Ioane ran directly towards the touchline almost to then kick back inside. It looked like it might have been a planned play. I'd love to know. But anyway, Capowazzo charged through for 7-7, and it was game on at this point. England did seem to have the upper hand, the dominance, but Italy looked very dangerous and were defending very well and were very good at the breakdown. One of the reasons for that was that England were attempting a lot of offloads, and sometimes they were lacking in their ruck details. So they would offload, and the player that offloaded the ball would get tackled at the same time, which means there's one less person to go to that ruck and clear it. And the Italians were very, very fast into those defensive rucks and won a ton of turnovers and penalties there. Italy were kicking the ball a fair bit, lots of different kicks, crossfield kicks to get the ball back, kicking long as well. And they targeted Marcus Smith, I would say. Once he came onto the pitch, I thought Marcus got a fair bit of aerial treatment, and the Italians got a good bit of joy out of it as well. Italy missed a penalty after that, but they were being very, very physical at this point, led by Menoncello, led by Fischetti at loosehead, led by Nicotera at hooker. Just absolute bullet tacklers. They smash people. And yeah, as much as I don't like watching England players get smashed, they're brilliant tacklers. Shortly after that, England had a 5-metre line-up. They went for this no-jump maul, and it's fantastic to get momentum into your maul straight away, which they did. Referee said, and it got brought down like a metre from the line. I think Ben Earl went and tried to score afterwards, and it got held up. Oh, no, this was the one actually where Itoje tried to dive over it. A tactic which almost never works. I can't believe people still try it. It seems so strange to me. I think I've only ever seen like a small handful of those ever get scored. So anyway, Itoje didn't score. The assistant referee came in and said, well, I've got a tackle over this side as well. So if you've got a tackle there and we've got a tackle here, that can't be right. And the referee kind of dismissed that. And then the TMO came in and said, I think you need to look at this. And then pulled it up on the screen, and the referee just stood by his decision that it was just a tackle and definitely not a maul. He definitely didn't come in the back and tackle the ball carrier whilst the front of the maul was being tackled. Definitely not. No siree. England scored shortly afterwards, though, when Tommy Freeman got over in the corner from an excellent Elliot Daly kick. And this is where having him in the centres bears dividend, because Kapowatso had closed the door on the outside, come around, which left space in the backfield. Freeman running onto the ball, got through for his try. Garbisi maybe a little bit slow getting across the cover, and certainly a little bit passive with Freeman getting over. I mean, it looked like Freeman was going to score anyway, but Garbisi could have put a bit more in, I think. But Italy back in it almost straight afterwards, and this was a brilliant try. Kapowatso found a gap on a kick return between Jamie George and Ben Earl. I think Jamie George was just thinking, I've got the next man, and Kapowatso saw his eyes, saw his body language, realised the gap between George and Earl was too big, and he just skittled through it like he does. He's unbelievable at that kind of thing. Found, who was it on his shoulder? Ross Vincent, ex-Exeter Chiefs number 8. He's got the pace of a winger. He's quicker than most of the other players on the pitch. Unbelievable gas. Threw a dummy that sent Marcus Smith for one. And that was 14 all after 32 minutes. Yeah, and again, it felt like England were the better side, but Italy were very dangerous, and it was level on the scoreboard. Ollie Slighthome got over for a try in the corner shortly after that, and there was some great catch pass here from England. They knew the space was on the outside. They knew they had to pass the ball through the hands, and they just stood still. Finn Smith to Dingwall to Marcus Smith to Slighthome, and he had just enough time to get over in the corner. Real elite handling from England there. Again, another touchline conversion, 21-14, Finn Smith banging them over. England with their kind of attempting to sort of massage the play a little bit, trying to go through some phases no matter where they were on the field. Came back to haunt them at this next one, because I think it was Tom Willis, by the way, who was really active throughout the first 40 minutes. He carried a ton of ball, a lot of pick and goes, and obviously scored the try himself. I thought he had a really, really strong first 40 minutes, but he was tackled, and then Genge was going to be the initial clearer at that ruck. He got kind of tackled or grabbed. I think it was by Ross Vincent. So he was on the floor and then had to rush to get into the ruck and was given a sealing off. Furious about it. Very frustrated, obviously. The referee didn't see it. He didn't want to go and check it because, and I don't blame him, that's not the kind of thing you check, especially not at that stage of the game either. But Genge has got to be very careful with his discipline there, because I think the referee spoke to Itoje shortly afterwards about it as well. No further issues, but yeah, frustration nearly boiled over there. But that was a penalty for Italy right in front of the post pretty much. So that was knocked over for 21-17. And again, really, really tight game. And there was a brilliant example of the dark arts. Just shortly after that, a ruck on the far touchline. England had the ball, had it all nicely secured, and Menoncello was looking at the ball thinking, oh no, I can't play that. And I think the referee said, no, hands away. But what Menoncello did was grab the England player by the leg. And then as Mitchell picked the ball up, he whacked the ball out of Mitchell's hands with the England player's leg. I don't know if that's illegal. I suppose it isn't, is it? I've no idea. I mean, there's an ungentlemanly conduct kind of clause in the laws of rugby, and it might go in that bucket. But I just think, honestly, so ingenious. Why not just let that kind of thing go? Well, who knows what that might lead to, I guess. in future games if things like that are going to happen at every ruck. It could be quite funny. So that was half-time, 21-17. England trying to play, real good intent to play, but lacking detail at times. As I said, offloads often leading to turnovers. Willis, hugely industrious, and Finn Smith, I thought, had a really good first half. Quite understated, just really composed, especially a couple of times when he got caught in the deep. Needed to just do a quick sidestep and then clear the lines. Just really unfussed. And I think that kind of breeds confidence in the players around him as well. So I thought Finn Smith had a good first half, along with his his goal kicking as well, which is outstanding. Italy were awesome at the breakdown and often electric in attack as well. Menoncello, outstanding for them in that first half and actually throughout the entire game. But that was what I thought at half-time. Okay, let's get some more opinions on the screen here. Ralph's here. What are we saying, Ralph? Oh, my eyesight. Ralph Brooker. Ralph says, my own view is that Italy are better off with Ange. That's Capuozzo at 15, not 14. I completely agree. That's how I would have started them off and picked it for the entire championship. England's first try came from Daly's first run for the 22. Yep, absolutely. Again, it was a turnover and Daly, or it was a return kick or something like that. And anyway, Daly just went for it. And that was good to see. Lost shape once Ollie Lawrence went off. Yeah. And too stop and start. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It was very stop and start. There was a number of injuries, quite a lot of kind of bitty kind of infringements, kind of technicality type infringements. That stopped the flow a little bit as well. And then, another one from Ralph. Ralph would have kept Daly at 15 and risked Marcus at centre. That's interesting. Yeah, the other way they could have done it as well was Marcus at 15, Tommy Freeman into centre, and then Elliot Daly on the wing. I guess that's one extra change though. But Freeman being that ball carrier, that being more direct sort of runner than Daly, might have worked better at certain times. But all good ideas. Okay, into the second half. Let's go. And it was noticeable at the start of the second half, England simplified things a little bit in terms of their attacking play. The very first sort of set of phases they just went wave pattern, which just means round the corner, round the corner, round the corner. Keep going, keep it simple, beat the opposition round there, try and get speed of ball and just try and get into them. And it paid dividends, actually. They didn't make huge amounts of ground, but just getting through some phases, just having a load of rucks where they didn't look like they were going to get turned over, I think just really helped them. And shortly after that, there was amazing feat. And I'm going to highlight this so hard because it was Will Stewart, England tight head, did a quick in and out. I can't remember who it was. Was it Nicotera? I think it was. I think it was the Italian hooker. Did a quick in and out on him. And then he was trundling up the left-hand touchline. It was majestic, absolutely unbelievable play. Love that stuff from the big man. And Marcus Smith took an offload. And this was when my Wi-Fi went down for a little bit. So I didn't quite see who gave the offload, but Smith got it, rounded whoever it was at fullback. I'm not sure that it was Capuozzo. It might have been Garbisi back there. For the try, 28-17. Tom Curry scored very soon afterwards after Alex Mitchell had done a load of like sniping work at the base of the ruck, something that he was much better at today with England with a license to play and an intent to play. Mitchell looked much more dangerous. If England could have just tidied up their ruck ball, their ball presentation, we'd have seen even more from Mitchell, I'm sure. But that's now 35-17. Slytome scored again, his second, and this was a lovely one with loads of offloads. And at one point, it looked like, well, it was Ben Curry who lifted it up to Jamie George. Jamie George then offloaded, and I think it went very quickly through Mitchell's hands as well to Slytome. At one point, I thought Jamie George was going to get over, and I'd have loved that, as I think all of Twickenham would have done. But it was Slytome who finished really well, actually. It was another quality finish. Finn Smith whacked over another touchline conversion. Guy's got a metronomic boot. Unbelievable. And that was Jamie George's last action on his 100th cap. And Fantastic from Luke Cowan-Dickie, who gave him a big hug on the way off and made sure that it wasn't missed that Jamie was leaving the pitch, and he got a fantastic, complete standing ovation from the entire stadium, which thoroughly deserved. And yeah, just great to see. I'm a huge fan of the man. Tom Curry, who was having a strong game, as he always does, absolutely melted Menoncello shortly after that, and he had to go off then because I think it was just cramp, actually. He was limping after he scored his try, but it looked like they were treating him for cramp before taking him off. There was a comedy moment shortly after that where there were charge down kicks galore from both sides. Couldn't quite work out what was going on. The ball ended up on the left-hand touchline around about the 22, and it looked like Elliot Daly slid in and tried to kick it into an open goal, football style, but only just missed. And we almost scored from that as well somehow, I think. Brex was having another strong game, as always. He is so good at spot tackling out the back of shape. So when England play to a deeper runner, if that runner's on his own, if he hasn't got options to pass immediately, Brex will spot that. He'll see it a mile off and he'll fly out of the line and go and tackle that player. I think he did it. I can remember at least 3 times he did it to great effect. I don't think it actually paid off, though. I don't think they actually got a turnover from any one of those. England managed to get away with it. Elliot Daly often did a really good job of getting tackled, then letting go of the ball, getting back to his feet, and then picking the ball up immediately to kind of negate that tactic a little bit and buy England a bit more time. So Daly did really well at that, but Brex's tackling, outstanding again. Ben Curry was awesome when he came on, I thought. Showing some real deft touches. There was a grubber at the right-hand touchline. There was some beautiful handling where he took the ball at the point of an arrow, kind of shaped outwards and then passed it back inside. Just looked a real classy outing from Ben Curry today. But the game, contrastingly, got quite loose and scrappy by this point. Getting into the last 20 minutes, the fourth quarter, England leading 42-17 now, and really the game was done. And I think it felt like that in the stadium. Stoppages for injuries were getting longer. The referee was doing his best to, keep everything moving along, but it was quite difficult. And yeah, there was that murmur of the game will be over soon kind of thing. 63 minutes, and Menoncello carried on what was another fantastic game for him when he absolutely barreled through Finn Smith. And obviously, anybody that saw Finn Smith's defensive outings recently knows that is no mean feat whatsoever. He absolutely charged over him. Menoncello's an absolute beast. Zuliani made a great carry on 72 minutes, which led to Menoncello getting over himself, and that was a bonus point try for the Italians. Delighted they got that. They've deserved more, I think, in some ways from this championship than they've got. I thought they deserved to get the bonus point against the French 2 weeks ago, and I thought they deserved it again today. They weren't always fluid, but some of their rugby was really excellent today at times. Again, even always through to the end of the game, Italy was still targeting Marcus Smith aerially and still getting some success. Ollie Chesham got player of the match, deservedly so. England finished on top in the scrums towards the end of the game when Finn Baxter and Joe Hayes really went to work alongside Luke Cowan-Dickie there in the front row and won some scrum penalties, but it all just ended up pretty messy. There was one last try. There was a turnover in midfield. Ben Curry got the ball to Ben Earl. Ben Earl, who again, he's so active all the way through the game. He probably made quite a lot of carries today as well, I feel. Sadly, Finn Smith missed the last one. He couldn't get them all, but 47-24 is the final score, and that felt about right. I think Italy will be disappointed with how they came out at the start of the second half, how they couldn't stop England playing because England were just surging a bit during that period, and they didn't really have an answer. But there was lots to like about the Italian performance today as well. Okay, that is it. We are going to bring this one to a close. I'd love to know what you think. Any thoughts about this England performance? Rate it. What do you think out of 10? What would I give it? For intent, I'd give it like a solid 8, maybe 9 out of 10. There was still some box kicking. There was a box kick by Jack Van Poortvliet in the 76th minute when England are about 3 scores clear. I mean, if you don't want to play, then it doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like they should have, should have just been trying to entertain the crowd. Should have been trying to get some reps in, playing some attacking rugby in an actual test match rather than practicing box kicks, which they do over and over and over, I'm sure. So, yeah, solid 8, maybe a 9 out of 10 for intent. In terms of accuracy, there were times when it was really good, but there was times when it was a bit scrappy as well. And that's understandable because they don't do this in live situations all that often. So I'm content. As an England fan, I'm happy with that performance. But I'd love to hear what you think. Let's have in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you don't mind, because it stays on, even though this is a live stream, it will stay on YouTube and Facebook forever. So people will find it if it gets a little bit more love. I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this penultimate weekend of Six Nations action. We're going to have the ref review for you. We're going to have the tries of the week for you. There's going to be another Lions movers and shakers after this round of the Six Nations. I mean, I dropped a fair few Irish players out of the team, out of my team last week, and maybe they'll stay out after this Saturday just gone. But like I said, appreciate you being here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and peace.